Hello everyone, SpinoZoo174 here, and I am back with another, there we go. We are back with a new video. Today I wanted to do some kind of news stories. A lot has happened just this week alone, so I kind of wanted to go into some of it. Just, I'm not here to, uh, you know, I'm for this or that or whatever. Um, where's my... There it is. Uh, Sorry. All right, whatever. Um, this I. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, like I said, I wanted to do some new stuff because it's been quite busy the last couple of days. So, I'm just gonna get into it, talk about them. Again, this is not like I'm not gonna put my own personal beliefs into it. I'm just telling you the facts, right? All right. So today, as of the recording of this video, and I do plan to upload it today, hopefully, today is 24 years since 9/11 happened. For you youngins out there who aren't aware of what 9/11 was, on September 11th, 2011, I'm sorry, 2001, um, Al-Qaeda, which is a Islamic terrorist group, they did a suicide attack. 4 coordinated planes that they hit both Twin Towers in New York City. A third one hit the Pentagon, and then which is like the headquarters of the U.S. military, and then the fourth one, which was most likely going to go toward like the White House. The passengers fought back, and it crashed in a field in Pennsylvania. This started the global war on terror. This began the invasions of Iraq and Afghanistan, and just a lot of going after hostile groups that were deemed terrorist organizations. I highly recommend all of you to watch some of the videos out there. There's this one video on YouTube of someone who's just going around recording, and they just so happen to get like the day 9/11 happened, and they're just walking around. This is before and during the first hit. There's the second one, and then when the buildings collapse. It's really insightful. It's really fascinating to see what people were like on that day. It's like an hour long, I think, or like 45 minutes or so. Let me see if I can actually find it real quick. I doubt I can in this time, but, you know, here's hoping. And I hope I don't go over. This might have to be like 2 videos or something. 9/11 footage. Let's see here. See, I feel like it's just going to be a bunch of like remembering stuff. And it's not like there's also like the One Day in America, which you can see that on National Geographic, which is on YouTube, and then there's also on Hulu, I think it is. Is this the one? No, that's not it. I really don't know where that video would be, to be honest. I should have looked a couple days before they got all this stuff for today. I'll have to find that another time, I think. There's 9/11 rare footage by Rasputin 1. That's 11 minutes long. Or 11 years ago, that's 40 minutes long. It's not the one, but that'd probably be a good one. I don't know. That would take a hot minute to try and find it, so that's unfortunate. I hope it's still up because I always really liked that video. That sounds weird to say, but I just mean like in terms of historical content, it's super important. So yeah, a lot happened with 9/11. Almost 3,000 people lost their lives, which I believe that also includes the perpetrators. Let me find it. 2,996 people, so that's 2,977 victims, and then 19 terrorists. Um, so yeah, 9/11, not good stuff, guys, not good stuff. And I think that is the defining moment of the 21st century of where, from 2000 to, gosh, what would it be, 2099? I think that's like the thing that's really gonna just, for the rest of the century, who knows what the future will be like, right? Sorry that this is a weird angle, but whatever. I'm in bed. I don't got chairs right now. All right. Anyway, other stories. I'm trying to go in order as best I can. Starting on September 8th, there was protests that started in Nepal. Nepal is a country, landlocked country in Asia. It borders China and India, right? I should know my geography better than this. Yeah, India. That's what I thought. Um, Pretty much what's been going on in with the Gen Z protests, as they call them. Western media has been a bit. They haven't been the most correct on what's been happening, so let me break it down for you. Um, what happened was, so first off, there's, yeah, sorry, I totally just like froze my brain there for a second. You know when you get so many thoughts that you're trying to convey. Let's back it up a little bit. All right, we're here. Three, two, one, play. Right. Basically, Nepal has a kind of corrupt country, corrupt government. Um, I should say corrupt government, and a lot of the people there tend to leave, and so the median age of Nepal is actually 25, and like one in two people pretty much have a social media account so that they can like talk to friends and relatives in other places. A trend was going on, I believe, that was uh, focusing on the undue privileges enjoyed by the relatives and children of people in power. And it was like a Nepo kid kind of trend, right? They're flaunting their wealth and all that. And a lot of people in Nepal are unfortunately poor. In fact, the average Nepali person makes about 1,400 United States dollars a year, while the country's elite just flaunts their riches. So while this Nepo kid thing was going on, people were like, hey, this is kind of messed up that we don't get as much money and you guys have all the money. Then a shutdown happened then on orders of the government of Nepal to shut down 26 social media platforms. That includes Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Reddit, Signal, Snapchat. And yeah, the thing is, though, that there's like a 20% youth unemployment right now, which means that they can't have those social media accounts to help pay their bills and do other stuff. So naturally, they protested this. It was peaceful protest where they did demonstrations. It was student activism where the students themselves did this. They were tired of the anti-corruption. They wanted better accountability and transparency with their government. They wanted to restore social media platform. Well, then the Nepal government decided that the best thing to do was to use violent force with the military and law enforcement, and they did so, which killed 19 young people on that first day of protest, I believe. There's even a video of it on like Public Freakout or r/Public Freakout on Reddit, where people get shot, and you unfortunately see a young man, I believe, draped over a fence, and you can see the blood coming out of him. Um, a lot of young people have lost their lives to this now. I believe deaths now have totaled at least 30, with most of it being protesters and some police officers killed. Um, this has led to their prime minister, KP Sharma Oli, to resign. Much of the cabinet has resigned too. Multiple government buildings and political offices, including the parliament and presidential palace, have been burned down. The social media ban has been removed. Um, And there's just a lot of crazy stuff happening right now with all that. So please, everyone, have your thoughts with the people of Nepal, and hopefully that they can have a better government that represents them. You know. Uh, what else? I thought another thing that was interesting. So concurrently, there are some protests going on in Indonesia. I think about corruption and police brutality. Notice that there's kind of a repeat pattern here with that. In this case, both places use the Straw Hat Pirates Jolly Roger flag. For those of you who don't know, a Jolly Roger flag is the Skull and Bones pirate flag, right? It was called a Jolly Roger flag. And then the Straw Hat Pirates are the main characters of the manga and anime series One Piece. So they've been using that a lot in their protest imagery. So crazy things happening around the world, and it just goes to show you that wherever there are people flaunting their wealth, there's going to be people who do not have that wealth, and eventually push comes to shove and you get these protests. It's crazy. There was the finance minister that was actually ran into a group of protesters with his vehicle. They got him out, stripped him down into his underwear, and they beat him and made him walk in a river. So I'll give him creativity points for that one. I heard that another minister had fled and left his disabled wife behind. So, these are very fine people, apparently. Speaking of very fine people on both sides, as a certain somebody has said, conservative activist and media personality, Charlie Kirk, was shot dead at his, what was it, at a Turning Point USA, which he is the founder of Turning Point USA, which is a conservative organization. It advocates for conservative politics on high school, college, and university campuses. So I would say that if you have been in one of those settings in the last 10 years, more than likely you have heard Turning Point USA or Charlie Kirk in some capacity. Yes, he was doing one of his famous debates with college students. There's a big crowd there, and somebody with a high-powered rifle about 200 yards away, and they got him, right in here somewhere, like pretty much in the neck. And that was like a jugular shot, because unfortunately, if you've seen the up close video, you do see a lot of blood come out. So it's very graphic, and I am not a person who agrees with Charlie Kirk's ideology, but I will say this: he promoted a lot of Trump-aligned causes. He had a lot of controversial views regarding gun control, COVID-19 vaccines, abortion, LGBTQ rights. He had criticism of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, of Martin Luther King Jr. He promoted Christian nationalism and false claims of electoral fraud in the 2020 U.S. election. So I will say that when you peddle in misinformation and you peddle dangerous lies and misinformation, that can get dangerous. And especially in this day and age where it seems that the tensions keep going higher and higher, it seems that somebody had a breaking point and they decided that Charlie Kirk was that answer. And as of the recording of this video, the person has not been caught yet. They've arrested 2 people that they thought was the suspect, but they weren't. They have apparently said that the high-powered rifle, I think, was found there, or that at least they think a high-powered rifle was used. They found ammunition there, and they claim that it has anti-fascist and transgender wording on it. I assume they mean like for it. But I will say that in this day and age where there's so much misinformation, disinformation, and the fact that the current administration does engage in a lot of half truths and outright lies, I do feel a bit wary on that being the shooter's ideology. On the other hand, Charlie Kirk was a controversial conservative media presence, and it very well might have been a left-wing person who decided to assassinate him. I've seen other conspiracy theories float around where it was Israel because no. I was going to say I thought there was something about him talking bad about Israel. Maybe not, but I have seen things where maybe it was Israel that did it, but I can't imagine why and why him. And I don't see much point in that. Number two, I've also seen a creative conspiracy theory. Remember, it's just a theory, a game theory, where what if it was the president of the United States engaging in an assassination of a public figure to cover up the Trump Epstein birthday letter, which that's another thing I have to get into. We'll probably segue into that now because that actually just happened not too long ago. The Trump let's see, not the birthday parade. That birthday parade was very sad. Waste of time. Birthday letter. Sorry, I had to pull something up real quick. Oh, I hate how this is. Yeah, no, let me go back. Basically, in case you've been living under a rock, there's of course been more stuff about Donald Trump and the billionaire and now deceased sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. And pretty much there was a thing stating that Donald Trump sent a little birthday letter to Epstein because it was Epstein's 50th birthday. So it was a little birthday book of Jeffrey Epstein's friends writing little things to him. Trump was one of those people. If you look at the signature, it does look extremely similar, if not exactly like Trump's other signatures. Let me see here. Okay, here it is. And then he did draw what appeared to be like a naked woman. I don't know. It's a little strange. But the alleged note, voiceover, there must be more to life than having everything. Donald, yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey, nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, yes, we do, come to think of it. Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. And then ending with Donald saying, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. I will say some of this does catch me as weird wording to say to somebody. I don't know how friendly they were. Well, they were friends for a while, I should say that. But the way Donald Trump says these things to Epstein, it does paint it that they were close with each other, especially with the, what is it? Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? And then the a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. I find those two lines to be very strange. You know, it does sound like he's kind of like, We both have a secret and we both know what it is, but we're not gonna say what it is. Like it's a very, I don't know, that just feels off to me, you know? So, you know, keep that in mind because the Epstein survivors are compiling a list and the Congress has voted on releasing Epstein files, but it is the both House and Senate GOP that are blocking all the votes. You can even yesterday there was a House, what is it, like oversight committee, I think it was. Excuse me. In which I believe it's like 25 Republicans and like 21 Democrats. And because Republicans have more members, they are able to just wave it off, apparently. So, if you care deeply for people who are affected by sex trafficking, if you are just have bad blood about Jeffrey Epstein and people who support such dangerous behavior, such as sex trafficking, especially with underage people, um, like keep on that, keep that pressure up. Otherwise, you will never get the truth. That's my thoughts on it. Moving on, we have yes, we go to the other side of the planet, to Ukraine, uh, where the Russia-Ukraine war is continuing. But all eyes are on Poland because on the night of September 9th and 10th, um, right? Yeah, that was nighttime. Um, Somewhere between 19 to 23 kamikaze drones entered Polish airspace, and they were launched by Russia and from Russia. At least 8 of these were shot down by the Polish Air Force and by NATO. Uh, so this is kind of a direct threat right on Poland, and you have to remember Poland is a member of NATO, and because of this, Poland issued an Article 4, not Article 5, Article 4. Article 4 means you get the leaders of NATO together and you talk about what just happened, what you need to do now, and like how can you prepare for the next time. And the thing is, this is such a dangerous escalation because if Poland, or any of the Baltic nations, are attacked brutally by Russia or Belarus, perhaps, then they could trigger Article 5, which means they need help and they need military action against the aggressor. Uh, so this is a huge escalation in the Russia Ukraine war, and if Russia continues to prod and poke, there may be a time where it gets to a point where one of these nations has to issue Article 5 and then NATO gets involved in the Ukraine Russia war. Um, and that means the United States getting into a war with Russia and North Korea, because North Korea is helping Russia as well. So that can lead to escalation because Russia has nukes, America has nukes, several other European nations have nukes, uh, North Korea has nukes. So hopefully we can find a way to get to the negotiation table, but that really depends on Russia on this. They're the aggressor here and they don't want to stop, and they show no signs of stopping, but they need to be stopped. So how can this be done? Can we talk it out actually? Or is this going to have to be a bigger conflict? So very intense stuff happening over, with Poland and Ukraine. So be sure to keep an eye on all that stuff. Finally, rather than being on the other side of the planet, we go into outer space. While the events of yesterday kept us glued to the screen, um, because of political stuff, we're going to go into science, specifically space science. Um, Some of you probably already know this, but a rock sample that was collected by NASA's Perseverance rover may contain evidence of ancient microbial. Oh my gosh, I butchered that word. Microbial life. It's kind of a weird word, you know. Preserved for billions of years on the red planet. So it's not a biosignature doesn't mean a direct evidence of life itself, but it's a possible sign because of the textured features on the rock, and some of those textured features on that rock might have been from some kind of biological life. Now that doesn't mean aliens, like from Star Trek or Star Wars. That doesn't mean like a fish or a lizard. It just means tiny microbes that were probably eaten on the rock, probably, or just moving around. So that's a really big deal because we already know that there's water. There's a big possibility that it was habitable in the past. So it's really interesting because the samples are so eye-catching because they have dark black patches on them, kind of like a leopard. One of the lead authors on the paper, Joel Hurwitz, who is a planetary scientist at Stony Brook University in New York, said these textural features told us that something really interesting that had happened in these rocks. Some set of chemical reactions occurred at the time that they were deposited. So, you know, this is really exciting because imagine billions of years ago, Mars had water on it. Mars had possibly microbial life. And does that mean some of those microbes came to Earth? And did life forms evolve here? Martian microbes evolve onto Earth then and become Earthling microbes, you know? That's kind of interesting. I do wonder because of the water, you know, the idea of ancient lakes or rivers or maybe ocean on Mars in the past, there could very well be a fossilized fish or even just fossilized kelp, you know? Even something like that proves life can exist on other worlds, and it existed at one point on another planet. So, very exciting stuff there. I really love hearing about that. So, I'm excited to see if we get more on that. So, that is the big news of this week so far. It's only Thursday. We have the rest of today, we have tomorrow, and then we have the weekend. So, we will have to see what these days bring us. But I should say, a lot of this stuff, you know, it's war, it's a shooting of a media personality, and it's bloody protests in a country. World is in kind of a rough place right now, you know, and I really think we need to come together and take action on these issues that are plaguing us. We can't just keep kicking it down the line. We can't just blame other people. We can't just do the blame game over and over again. How about we actually do something and solve it so that we can all live in peace? We can all go about our day. We can all be happy. You know? I think that's a wonderful idea. But unfortunately, while that's such a great idea to have, it's almost a fool's dream because it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of elbow grease to get through it. I hope one day that we do get there. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year, but I hope in my lifetime, I hope we really get some positive change here. I've recorded for about almost 30 minutes now. I'm on 29 minutes and 12 seconds, so I will just end, you know, with this violence happening in America, and especially to all my Americans out there. Let's be smart, let's be rational, let's be kind, and let's show some empathy for others, okay? Gun violence can happen to anyone, whether you are for guns or against them. So, you know, just be wary, be careful, and let's help people out. Some of us out there have intense problems, behavioral issues, and we need to solve that with social work, with medication, with patience and kindness and love and empathy. Otherwise, you see what happens. Stay safe out there.